What it do? What the business is? This is Rodney.
This is Jamal.
Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Vince.
And we are
Under construction.
All right. Today we're going to jump into the Hornets, unfortunately, out of obligation.
Why it gotta be unfortunately, though, man?
Because they never play in June. So we're going to call this segment the 10th pick. This is our 10th pick segment. We're going to talk Hassan Whiteside.
Okay.
For some reason.
Yeah. Why are we talking about Hassan Whiteside?
Reports are that he's interested in coming back home.
Gastonia?
Charlotte.
Oh, okay.
It's a suburb. It's a ghetto suburb of Charlotte.
We claim Gastonia? Never mind, I'm sorry.
We don't.
Shout out to Gastonia.
Rodney, you on one today, bro.
I'm on one today.
You on one.
So what are your thoughts of him coming home? I'm weary of Hassan Whiteside. He's talent, but I'm weary.
Jamal, start us off.
Dwight Howard 2.0. That's exactly how I feel about Hassan Whiteside. Is Hassan Whiteside more talented than any big we have? Yes, he is.
Gotcha.
Does that mean he will significantly help the Hornets? Not at all.
Agreed.
I think he would come here and the stats would jump out. He'd have a couple of 2020 games. I believe we would look at his rim protection sometimes, and we'd probably be enamored by it, and we'd probably be excited about it at times. But as we know, sometimes what looks good ain't really good for the team. Well, people who really know basketball.
What glitters ain't gold.
What glitters ain't gold. Because Hassan Whiteside, number one, is one of those dudes where you question what kind of stuff he does in the locker room. You question whether he jobs with his teammates or not. And more importantly, on the basketball court, you question whether he does the little things that will help you win games. Let me repeat that for the Dwight Howard fans out there. You question how much he does the little things to help you win games. I want to emphasize that. So that's why I just wouldn't be overly excited about Hassan Whiteside being in the Charlotte Hornets uniform.
What about you, Mitch?
So I'm going to shout out 5 numbers right quick.
Okay.
And I want you guys to try and guess these 5 numbers, what they are, okay? 48, 73, 77, 54, 72.
Is that how many games he's played in the last 5 seasons?
Many games played in the last 5 seasons. Many games played. Now,
still more than Cody Zeller.
I knew what I was going to say.
And now, here's the deal. You're talking about Cody Zeller because of the injuries, right?
Yep.
What if I told you most of these games missed aren't even injury related?
Ooh.
What if it's...
Do tell.
Expound.
Well, okay, let me actually, I'm going to tell you guys something else. His career averages for the last 5 years, he actually has a 9-year playing career, but he had a 2-year break after he left Sacramento. So the last 5 years he's been in Miami, and he has a career average in Miami, 14 points a game, 12 rebounds per game.
Not bad.
Right, not bad.
So if he comes to Charlotte, he's immediately the best 4 or 5 on the team, right?
Right.
You know who else has similar numbers like that?
Who's that?
Dwight Howard.
Yeah.
Dwight Howard.
Right.
Similar numbers.
Similar numbers.
And why is Dwight Howard not here? Reportedly, because of his attitude, and he couldn't mesh with the team, and he killed Monk's progression.
Right. And I'm going to say one thing. We generally have a young team now, and I'll be scared as hell to put Hassan Whiteside with Malik Monk or Dwayne Bacon or something like that.
Yeah. Now on the court, I would love Whiteside. I would love him on the court, what he can do. But again, I'm just skeptical of his attitude.
I want to ask just something that doesn't kind of provide a lot of nuance, but it's a very simple question that deserves to be asked. If Hassan Whiteside is as good as some people want to make him, did we not have a better record than Miami last year, or am I tripping? Or why isn't Miami better if Hassan Whiteside is that good? Why weren't the Hornets better when Dwight Howard was here?
And you want to know what Miami's record was this year when Hassan played and started?
Go, Vince.
33-39. Which is actually worse than what the Hornets did last year. 30 in his 72 games because he missed 10 because Spoelstra's constantly benching him because of his attitude. But hey, let's concentrate on Zeller and these screen assists, okay?
All right,
let's talk about these screen assists.
I'm gonna leave y'all with that. Vince is a little amped up. We're gonna talk.
Wait! Now we hadn't even spoke about his salary. Y'all normally talk numbers. I normally kind of lead the numbers to y'all.
Right.
But with everything that you get with Whiteside, the good and the bad,
right,
he would also come with the $27 million price tag.
Let me ask you a question. Would you trade Nick Batum for Whiteside? if they offer that deal.
If I'm the Hornets, I make that trade.
Hey, let me ask you something. What do you get when you replace nothing with something? You get something.
You get something.
I'd rather have something than nothing.
You get something. So, now if I'm Miami, I don't make that trade, even with the headache that Whiteside brings. And this will be the first year without Dwayne Wade. So who knows? He might even get more touches.
And not to mention, if something like that were to happen, what is the more attractive trade piece? So Hassan Whiteside and Nick Batum. Let's be real, man.
It possibly be none.
Come on, man.
First round pick.
It would be good for attendance reasons. Just without any of the biasness and cutting jokes, it would be good for attendance reasons because he bring that Gastonia contingent.
But we need that crowd, man.
We need every little bit of crowd we can get.
So it would be a slight boost in sales and support from the fan base and whatnot. But I just think basketball wise, I don't see it.
Overall, it's not worth the headache.
If you're advocating bringing people home, just bring Chris Paul. Just bring that Winston Salem.
Now we're gonna get
don't get us started on that.
Now going back to our last segment, we talked about the Rockies and some of those people in conversation. Who would you guys rather? Just try to be as objective as possible. Would you guys rather have Hassan Whiteside or would you guys rather have Clint Capella?
Clint Capella all day.
Personality wise. He's a little more mobile to me on the defensive end. Younger, and then also his salary is $10 million less than Whiteside.
I'll take Clint Capella all day.
Okay.
And I actually think he'd be a great fit here. I really do.
Okay.
Yeah, as a third option. All right, so we're gonna move to the NBA Finals.
We have options other than Kimber. I'm sorry.
I was gonna leave that alone.
We'll leave that alone.
My bad.
We'll leave that alone.
Okay. I gotta wait and see. So we're gonna move on to the NBA Finals. Surprisingly, the Raptors have a 3-1 lead.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't see it. Kawhi Leonard, the cyborg, has been awesome. Klay Thompson has been limited. Steph Curry's been playing at the MVP level. So what do you guys think about this NBA Finals? What has it shown you?
Well, just overall, this NBA playoffs has been by far the best playoffs in years.
Sans LeBron.
And going into the finals, I don't have a dog in the fight. Mm-hmm. No matter who wins or whatnot, I would have been cool either way. If this is how Toronto goes out, this is how Golden State goes out, this is how they go out. And by Toronto winning the finals, if they do go ahead and win the finals, I think this will strengthen the argument that the East isn't as weak as everyone has made it out to be. Mm-hmm. Because LeBron has held the East down for 10 years?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The 1 year he leaves, as soon as he leaves, the East gets the title.
Right.
So obviously the East isn't that weak.
Hear that, LeBron sexuals? All you gotta do is leave and the East is back, son.
Man, hey, dude, you are pissing off the man.
But getting back to my frustration more so are with the fans, the basketball fans. Because this playoffs, we haven't seen any Toronto fans. We have seen Clippers. we've seen Clipper, Trailblazer, Rocket, and now Raptor fans all looped into the same group of 10 because they hate Golden State that much. And
they think there's a right way.
Nah, do they hate Golden State? Do they hate Kevin Durant?
They hate Curry too.
But no, they hated Golden State.
Charlotte people hate Curry?
They hated Golden State before Durant got there, and Durant just made it even worse.
Who are we talking about specifically? Because we are a Charlotte-based group here. Are we talking about Charlotte people?
No. In general, LeBron sexuals hate Steph Curry. They do.
And everything Golden State.
They hate anything that challenges LeBron's legacy. Let's be real.
But I think the problem is, I think a lot of people are missing out on something great, simply because of their hate and their disdain for Durant and Curry.
And they hate Donkey too.
I am going to agree with you on that front because for me, going back to a fan discussion, I hate, y'all know how much I hate people who hop on bandwagons. It is the bane of my existence when I see people hopping on winning teams just because they win it. And I usually go for the underdog. Yeah. With that being said, I totally get where you're coming from with your opinion. We are missing something that is truly golden right now. Man.
Yeah.
We're missing something. We're like the mighty Warriors dynasty is about to end probably tomorrow night. We don't know. We'll see how that goes. But just to kind of speak to your point about these playoffs in general, like we're seeing parity for once.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're seeing that you don't have to have a super team to win. We are seeing some beautiful things when it comes to NBA basketball. To your point, fans are missing out on that stuff. LeBron fans are clowns. I'm sorry. I don't even have time for them. I don't have time for LeBron fans who want to cry and post memes every day about how LeBron's not in the playoffs. Because, again, man, if you are a basketball fan, this is, to me, I hope it sets a precedence for what we see in the future of the NBA.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a super team. If you are smart with the way you manage your team, you can beat the Toronto Raptors. That gives us hope as Hornets fans. You know what I mean? So I love it, man.
Now let me ask you this: take Durant off of Golden State. Mm-hmm. Do you see the Warriors still as a super team?
No,
I do.
Not at this point. I don't.
I do because what they're going to do this offseason is Iggy's showing his age. Livingston, somebody said Livingston retired and he didn't tell them yet.
I think the same for Iguodala.
But here's the deal though, and my bad for cutting you guys off. In Game 4, Livingston actually looked pretty good, and I think
first time in the playoffs.
I think what's happened is the team it's showing how much of a team they truly are. Mm-hmm. When you have all your parts, and granted KD still isn't playing,
right.
But when you have all your parts and you know your role, you're able to function within that role pretty good.
But with that being said, man, Sean Livingston and Andre Iguodala are gone.
Yeah,
and the thing is, what they're also showing is you can't rely on them or expect them to have the kind of game Sean Livingston did. You can't expect it all the time, man. They're 35 years old. Yeah. Let's say that again, man. 35. You get what I'm saying? It's time. It's time for the Golden State Warriors to retool after this. Who knows what their plans are in the offseason. You want to talk about salary straps? They are way beyond luxury tax.
But I'm pretty sure they have mid-level exceptions and everything like that.
Yeah.
Quick fact from your producer.
Hey, how's it going, man?
The 2012-2013 Toronto Raptors had the same record as the 2012-2013 Philadelphia 76ers, which was the year they began their tank.
Right.
One team tanked.
One team
got 7 first-round picks. One team did not, and is about to win their first NBA championship.
And here's the deal: even though the 76ers have kind of built their team through the draft, granted they tanked.
Right.
The fan base, the fans in general, universally loves them as opposed to hating the Warriors.
Right.
When essentially they build their teams the same way.
Right.
So, and I just find that very ironic.
Right, and it's again, man, that's a part of the beauty of this entire playoffs and these finals, man. It's just like,
hey, shout out to Kaiser, man.
That was a very cool nugget right there.
Posting that in the few groups. That was dope.
Because we know how much we fight with, man. Y'all just need to tank, man. Y'all just need to blow it up.
Tank is going to solve all your problems.
Tank is going to solve all your problems, man. This whole playoffs is proving that now it really doesn't actually. So
smart building.
But I want to talk about the actual finals and what I see, because this is something I've been thinking about, man. There is somebody I want to give credit to that nobody, not even national media, I think, is not giving enough credit to. Nick Nurse. There are two things the Toronto Raptors need to do. The first one is pretty obvious. Try to re-sign Kawhi, however you see fit. The very second thing they need to do is extend Nick Nurse. That dude is showing he is a hell of a coach, and I don't understand how nobody's seeing this.
Those adjustments he's making.
The adjustments he's making is crazy. Dude, they held the Warriors under 100 points. That is not an easy task. I feel like Nick Nurse has figured something out that the rest of the league has not figured out against the Raptors. Granted, I want to make it clear, I think the Warriors, their age and their injuries, I think that has mattered. I think it is significant in this series. But on the flip side, I also believe that Nick Nurse has figured something out, and it is a bad matchup for the Warriors at these points. Man.
And here's something I saw that has made me change my entire perception on these playoffs. I fully believe that if Clay played in Game 3, I think the Warriors are up 3-1 right now, and him missing game 3, I think it threw a big kink in their plans. And Kevin Looney, who was initially out for the remainder of the postseason, came back and played game 4.
Got a second opinion
and came back.
Yeah.
And that's but when Kawhi when San Antonio played the Warriors in the finals a few years back, they were actually winning the game until Kawhi got hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the Warriors went on to win. I think it was like 4-1.
4-1, yeah.
It was like 4-1.
Right.
So when you throw that nugget in, because like San Antonio was looking damn good.
Right.
So when you throw that nugget in there, you know, maybe this isn't just some fluke of the luck for the Raptors.
Right.
Maybe Kawhi, there's just something about Kawhi that the Warriors just can't handle.
Kawhi is the dynasty killer.
Yeah.
He killed the Warriors.
Killed the Miami Heat.
He killed the Heat. And he killed the Spurs too.
But speaking of that, I'm glad you brought that up. Kawhi is Kawhi. Kawhi is doing this thing. Game 3 in particular, I think that game showed it's not just Kawhi.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna tell you something, man. Siakam and Serge Ibaka, that last game,
Ooh, yeah.
they did some serious damage to the Warriors in the fourth quarter. Kawhi, let's give credit what credit is due, man. What was it? I scored like maybe 18, 19 points third quarter last game. But Siakam and Ibaka were huge, man.
Yeah.
Like the Warriors couldn't do anything with those guys. And I'm sorry to say it, man, Boogie Cousins doesn't need to be out there.
No.
Yeah,
We saw a game early this season where Cody Zeller ate Boogie Cousins
30
alive.
points. 30 points. Yeah.
Nick Nurse figured out, let's put Boogie Cousins in these pick and roll situations and let's eat all we want to.
Now you mentioned Kawhi being a dynasty killer. There's another player who, if Toronto wins this game, who will actually be on both of these dynasty killing teams as well. And his name is Danny Green.
Danny Green.
And I don't think because Danny Green.
Tar holes.
I wasn't even going to bring that up, but I appreciate that.
John jumped ahead of you.
But I saw something the other day that I think is like a minimum of like 53 pointers.
Uh-huh.
He's the only player in NBA history to shoot 50% behind the three in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's actually been he went cold. I think game 2 he actually went cold. So I think that's another one who should be getting credit. And again, the Raptors winning is hope for the small markets, because it's showing that you can go build a team. You don't need to get a bunch of first and second and third overall picks, and you can actually compete.
And specifically, it shows if you pick the right guy wherever you pick at. It doesn't matter if it's 1, 2, 3, or 14. If you pick the right guy wherever you pick at, it opens the door for you to build your team the right way.
Yeah.
What I'm specifically pointing to is when the Raptors, they chose DeMar DeRozan at like 11, 10, something like that, okay?
Yeah.
To make it simple, make a long story short, they don't get Kawhi without DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan was that chip that brought Kawhi to Toronto.
Sacrificial lamb.
But it is what it is. You know
I
what
low-key feel bad for DeRozan. He gave a lot. He gave a lot.
And he loved that organization. He loved being in Toronto.
He wasn't a headache he bled and sweat for that team.
He just disappeared during the playoffs. You know what I mean?
I mean,
He's there 90% of the time.
But that's the business of the NBA, man.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna wrap this up. I want to give a shout out to Masai Ujiri as well.
Yeah, no,
the architect
no.
over all this took the necessary risk, got the young pieces in Siakam and the diamonds in the rough out there going out scouting, and made the smart trades and picking up Gasol.
That's it, man.
And all you need in the front office is a smart guy. That's all you need. All right, we're gonna roll into our segment called Back-to-Back Winning Seasons.
Come check, please save us. I'm sorry, please.
Jamal, why do we call this back-to-back winning season?
Because we've never had one.
We still got at least 2 years before we can even get our first one, if we get it in.
All right, so last week we played the role of Negro Damas by calling McCoy to the Panthers.
We did predict that pretty good.
We did.
We followed the trails of check mix for the followings on Twitter.
Hey, Cleveland Browns fans, we're really sorry. Not really.
Ravens fans,
Y'all good.
hang out your abandoned buildings in Baltimore. Sorry.
Ouch, man.
I'm sorry. So what do you guys think of this McCoy signing? Are you pumped? Super Bowl coming?
I mean, like, look, I'm pretty indifferent to it. I mean, congrats, we picked him up. Now, here's the deal. I went and looked at his stats. This morning. He he had a pretty significant drop in production last year compared to the year prior. Now, I don't know if he was having any beef with the organization. I don't know if they changed the scheme up. He had 6 sacks 2 years ago. He had 6 sacks last year. So with playing, I think, 1 game less the year prior. So the sack level stayed the same. But his tackles show like a significant decrease. So I don't know what to expect. I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't pay too much attention to him with him being in Tampa. So we'll see how that plays out. But one thing I wanted to highlight was just the reaction from around the league, as far as the fans. There's I saw some true hateful comments.
There was a lot of Mortons out there on Twitter.
Boy, I saw stuff like, "Oh, you must not want to win next year."
I'm sorry to cut you off. The audacity of Cleveland Browns fans or players to say that. Are you serious? Y'all have worked your way up to an I season last year, and now we ain't contenders. Like we don't. He's at the team where he doesn't want to win now, and y'all just became all right.
Has Cleveland ever been to the Super Bowl?
Not this version.
Not this century.
No, they've won NFL championships, but they never been to the Super Bowl.
But not in the Super Bowl area. Oh,
right.
Okay, got you.
Are you insane? Really?
And maybe they just feeling themselves because, and I know we're kind of getting off topic here, but I actually had them in the playoffs before the Odell Beckham pickup.
I did too.
I had them in that. So maybe they just feeling themselves.
I'm not drinking that Kool-Aid yet.
No. Because I tell you what.
How in the world they crown themselves already? Dude? Like, come on, man. Y'all must be crazy.
But getting back to McCoy himself, I think it was personal. I think he was actually going to go to Cleveland. And what happened was, Ndamukong Suh went to Tampa Bay, and they gave him McCoy's old number.
Right.
And McCoy, they kind of like pissed him off. And as soon as he signed with Carolina, he sent a text to somebody. I can't remember who it was, and he was like, "See you week 2." And apparently, like he's pissed off. And then I guess when he came to visit Carolina, Cam Newton, Greg Olsen, and a few other players actually took him out to lunch. They went and hung out, and he basically said, just looking at the chemistry, looking at everything that they did, he was like, you know what? I think I could really rock with this place.
Specifically,
let me ask you an important question. Would you rather live in Baltimore, Cleveland, or Charlotte?
I think it was a pretty easy choice.
Well, I could definitely scratch Cleveland out just because of the Joakim Noah interview from 2 years ago. Like, that shit will forever be like GOAT, you know? I don't know about Baltimore. I know a lot of people from Baltimore.
You don't want to live.
You don't want to live in Baltimore.
Trust
All right, my bad, John. I tried, man. I tried to help y'all out.
Baltimore, the band, though.
But no, I mean it's a good pickup overall. I think Hurney has done a lot of good this offseason. And just like I said last week, just hope he can perform and whatever expectations everyone has, I just hope they can meet expectations.
And shout out to Hurney for being the closer and learning from his mistakes.
And I think that's what it is. I think he's learned from his first time here, and he's just smarter. He's smarter.
I'm gonna come at you from a different angle with the McCoy sign. I'm very excited about it. Man, it changed my whole perception of what I expect our season to be. It really has, man. I expect our secondary to be that much better because of him. But here's the angle I want to come at you from, man. With KK and Don Terry Poe last year, they underwhelmed last season. They underachieved last season. It was a bad season by all accounts by both of those players.
Yep.
I think McCoy coming here lights a fire under them. I truly believe the competition aspect that fans don't see, that we don't see, I think that's going to be more prevalent this offseason. And that's really the main reason why I like the signing. I think you alluded to McCoy not having his best year last year, and who knows why. Like, again, we're not Tampa Bay Buccaneers experts. We didn't watch a whole lot of them except when we were kicking it, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, man, that competition aspect is just you have 4 guys really who are gonna try to outdo each other and to try to keep their starting position. That's what NFL is. It's competition with each position, win your one-on-one battle. So I like the sign from that perspective. Shout out to Marty Hurney, who is spending smartly and not being Daniel Snyder. And I like the fact that McCoy is already looking at week 2 like, this is what you're gonna get.
I'm ready to eat.
I'm ready to eat. You know what I mean?
Let me guys interject with him coming now and a lot of these defensive lineups being projected. How do you guys feel about the 3-4 conversation?
I think it's a farce. I don't think we're going to run a lot of 3-4.
I think we will run a decent amount, kind of in the hybrid sets. I'm really excited about it. It's a new look.
I worry about one thing with the 3-4. I specifically worry about Brian Burns because where do you put him in the 3-4?
Well,
why do you draft a guy?
From what I've seen, they got him at the left outside linebacker. From what I've seen,
I don't know about that. I don't know if I want to put a rookie in that situation, but it's just me. We'll see how it works out. We'll see how much of it they run. You mentioned it may be a hybrid defense. I don't know how much. I don't even think Ron Rivera knows how much at this point. I think it's all going to depend on matchup. Mm-hmm. It's a big question mark, and it's something that Panthers fans could look forward to because we don't know yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of Panthers fans having something to look forward to, Governor Henry McMaster signed this act that allowed the Panthers, specifically David Tepper, to get $130 million in incentives. And it's official. It's the Rock Hill Panthers.
Stop, man. Stop it. We're not doing this.
It's happening. How do you guys feel about this Rock Hill headquarter move? Not the stadium. Don't freak out. The headquarter move.
Yeah.
Stop, Vince. And are you okay with billionaires essentially receiving welfare?
Okay, so once again, I'm really? Driving down the road. You know how you get a notification on Facebook and you go check it out? So I got a notification that the Panthers had some sort of red ribbon ceremony in Rock Hill, and it was like a huge festival day parade or whatnot. So I thought it was a little odd that you guys are celebrating. Like the headline said that the Panthers and South Carolina are celebrating the $1 million tax break. I didn't like that. I just thought that was a complete slap in the face of the
residents. The citizens may not want to celebrate too quick on that.
But it was so many of them there.
It was packed.
It was packed.
I believe it.
So it was packed.
Now, again, the emotional part out the way. As a citizen, I don't necessarily agree with the tax breaks for obvious reasons.
I don't.
But if I was an owner, why would I not fight for those tax breaks?
True.
But on the flip side, what a lot of people aren't realizing, and I read this literally this morning on the Charlotte Observer. So kudos to the Charlotte Observer for actually putting out legitimate news and not just clickbait.
Hyperbole.
Yeah. So apparently there's a bigger picture at play. And by them moving down there, even though he's getting a tax break, he promised South Carolina he's going to bring more business down there. He's supposed to open up like some restaurants. I think a hospital. I can't, but like
it's supposed to be like an on-site hospital.
Yeah, it's like on-site. So like he has promised that he's going to actually build up the infrastructure. And downtown Charlotte, they're actually in the process of doing some upgrades. Eventually, now the article didn't say this. But it alluded to that at some point the Panthers are going to move down south. It alluded to that. And when the Panthers move down south, by them removing that stadium, it's going to allow Charlotte to continue to build its infrastructure as well. So there's, I think, behind the optics of it, there's a huge play being had, and most of us just aren't seeing it. So for me, I can accept this because I'm looking more so at the business side of it and not the emotional side. But I've been screaming this since before we started this podcast. So like it's like, you know, it's the inevitable, you know?
Yeah.
I hear everything you're saying.
But
leverage plays.
However, man, I don't want to accept the fact that the stadium could be moved to South Carolina. Well, let me back.
One team, two states.
Charlotte.
One team, both in South Carolina. Doesn't make sense.
But let me back up for a second and let me say this. Have y'all been to Rock Hill before?
Several times.
Have y'all driven through Rock Hill?
Yes.
They need something to celebrate down there.
Regardless, don't do this. Jamal, don't do this.
Regardless,
don't do this. We have Rock Hill fans. Don't do this.
Sorry, Rock Hill. They know it's true. They live there. Other than the higher taxes that are coming their way, I see why it was so packed. And Vince kind of stole my thunder with, the projected development, for lack of a better term, that supposedly is coming into Rock Hill. I'd be celebrating too if I lived in Rock Hill and I saw that coming. Now, the obnoxious butthole Charlotte side of me does not want to accept the fact that South Carolina is going to be way more included in the Panthers than Charlotte is eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually, that stadium probably is going to move to Fort Mill, Rock Hill. I don't want to accept it. I just don't. Look, man, I'm on record as saying I wish it was the Charlotte Panthers. I want Charlotte to have its own identity. I want the profile of this city alone to be raised. It ain't even really nothing against South Carolina in any way, shape, or form, because I understand why the move was made. To talk about why the move was made, billionaires nobody likes paying taxes. Let's be clear about that. But billionaires really don't like paying taxes. So if you get a tax break, it's a necessary move. I don't blame Tepper for it. His business acumen speaks for itself. There's nothing to really say about it. So I get it, but I just don't like it, man. I can't say I like it, man.
I don't like it either. Like $120 million to me could go to schools. The roads in South Carolina are trash.
Who's to say it won't though?
That's true. The roads are trash. And then I just don't like. Tepper's the richest owner in the NFL. If he really wanted to build that facility down there, he could have. This is just a leverage play later on for, hey, with Ericsson Stadium, Bank of America Stadium is almost 30 years old.
Yeah.
So
build me my new stadium, or
I'm moving to South Carolina.
He's gone on record a few times. He said that in no way was this a leverage play to North Carolina. He is speaking this as being a purely business savvy move. That's what he's saying. So maybe I'm a little biased because
you're biased. Let me tell you why. Because any business savvy man has a leverage point. Tepper's smart.
You never show anybody your full hand.
No, you never do that.
You know what I'm saying? And I think
and then North Carolina is already
they rate us in taxes.
Yeah, I work in South Carolina, so I pay North Carolina and South Carolina taxes.
I've been there.
Yeah. So, but what North Carolina is already doing is they're already putting money aside for this new Panther Stadium that they know is coming.
Right.
And that kind of got me feeling away because I'm like, okay, the teachers are marching in North and South Carolina to be paid,
right? And
we're setting aside money for a stadium,
right?
And so
we really don't need.
Right now. And then who's to say 10, 15 years from now, when the cable box is 30 years old, 25 years old,
right?
Michael Jordan's like, oh, I need a new stadium. Oh, you're a losing franchise.
We don't really care about the Hornets.
We don't care about the Hornets,
right?
And so, the Panthers going to be the Carolina Hornets of Fort Mill. I mean, it's just like
it's a little harder to go from the Charlotte Hornets to the Carolina Hornets.
The Charlotte Hornets at Fort Mill. I mean, like the Anaheim Angels.
So we could be like the New York Giants.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. I'm just not a fan of like owners extorting taxpayers. I mean, because most of the taxpayers don't care about sports.
Right.
I'm just being real about it.
It's the truth,
most of them don't.
Yeah.
And it's just like they rather have the money allocated to parks.
The thing is, we haven't seen or heard the other side of this.
Yeah.
Meaning who isn't happy? What about the South Carolina Raiders who are not really happy about?
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're not playing games down there. You just put your headquarters there. Like, I can't even walk on your headquarters. I paid for it. I can't walk on your headquarters.
Right.
Headquarters without having the proper clearance.
Right.
Like, how is this a benefit to me? Yeah. And then another thing is they always have these projections, but nobody talks about how those projections always fall short. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, who flips the bills for that? Taxpayers.
Yeah.
I could go on all day. I could go on all day.
All right.
You seem kind of scared about that.
All right, so we're going to jump into a very important issue within our culture segment. We all watched this movie that's very important called When They See Us. And we're just going to kind of talk about it. And this is an open invitation to our producer, Brother Kaz, if he wants to come join us as well. Since he's a black male, and he may have some opinions as well.
All right, so I've kind of been taking the lead on all the topics. So I'm going to kind of let y'all go on this one, okay? And I'll just kind of like chime in.
I'll go first. By the documentary, by the movie itself, I was underwhelmed, and it's not really anything against the movie itself. It's not anything against the way the movie was made or nothing like that. I was underwhelmed because, it's what I expected. Mm-hmm. It's not. I didn't learn a whole lot of new things about the case, except for how some of the kids were treated when they went to prison, what have you. But outside of that, it was pretty underwhelming. I found it funny how with Trump, it's like he's been who he's always been. It's never really been anything different. I'll just keep it at that. I don't want to get into a whole spiel about that guy. But I did on social media. The common theme was, "Man, I'm angry. I haven't even watched 30 minutes of this. I'm angry. And my question is, like, how did a lot of people not know about this or understand this before the documentary came out? And I don't want the movie to be this trendy thing where it's like we're learning something new now. Mm-hmm. And I think that's pretty important. This isn't anything new under the sun. This is what our legal system has been for the longest time. And I you know what I mean?
I was kind of surprised that, there was this feeling that a lot of people didn't know about this. This happened 30 years ago, and it's not like it was under the radar. It was a highly, highly publicized case that was recently brought back into the news, actually repeated times over the last 3 decades. Once when they were exonerated in 2002, and then again in 2003 when they brought case against the city of New York, and then again in 2014 when a judge finally ruled in their favor and they got paid the $41 million.
And then in 2016 when Mr. Trump was
running
for president.
So this isn't new. But I do think that the drama of the movie was so powerful that it's causing people to revisit and feel angry about it all over again.
One thing I will kind of retract a little bit is the one thing that kind of did evoke some emotion is with Linda Fairstein and how it was already just preconceived. Like, we're going to get these guys no matter what. And that part, I was just kind of like, man, like...
The part that really made me angry is that she basically profited off of railroad career. Made a book career and was on the board of directors and stuff, and basically she railroaded these kids.
Which is why, like, I see a lot of people kind of celebrating that this publisher just dropped her, and it was like, well, it's kind of too late now. She's made her money now. You know what I mean?
The only way to justify that is to have her pay all that money
back.
To whoever,
give it to the victims, man.
And then send her and then you have to investigate every case that she's been a part of.
Right.
You now have to go back and look at every case she's been a part of, and then she needs to go to jail and be locked up for the rest of her natural life. That is the only way to come close to evening the score with what she did to those 5 kids.
Yeah.
And speaking of your point about being surprised about people who didn't know about this before the documentary, I think for me it's more so, I think it's going to kind of be the person's age. Mm-hmm. Because for someone like me, this was common knowledge, but I can't expect the 20-year-old kids have known about
point taken.
the Central Park 5. So I knew about the Central Park 5 maybe 10 years ago, and when the documentary came out, normally I wouldn't have watched it because I don't watch a lot of these type of documentaries because I pretty much know all the details. I'm like, why do I want to relive this?
Right.
We already know how it's going to happen. Why do I want to go and watch this play out? But for whatever reason, I watched this. And I watched it the day that it came out, like 9, 10 o'clock that Friday night. And I watched all 4 episodes through, like in one sitting. And the reason why I watched all 4 episodes because episode 1 was so emotional. Mm-hmm. I knew if I like took a break from watching it, I would have never come back and watched the other 3. Right. So I forced myself, and the court case is what got me the most. Yeah. Because I'm watching the court case play out, and a lot of people have been questioning Ava, the director, for kind of sensationalizing the documentary. And she said, no, there's no sensationalism. Everything that was done was done at the discretion of the 5 men in question. This is how they told their story, so this is what I put in there. And I'm listening to the testimonies and all this, that, and the third, and we already know how it played out. Right. But I'm questioning, I'm asking, like, how? Right. How did you still find them guilty with everything they played? And that's going to be, like, the most baffling thing to me going forward, was that with everything that was presented, how did you still find these men guilty?
So we briefly talked about this off camera. Yeah. We talked about whether or not we thought a jury could come to that same verdict here in 2019. And it's important to note that in the first trial, the jury was a little more diverse. There were 4 whites, there were 4 African Americans, 3 Latinos, and 1 Asian. And they stated afterwards, no one's spoken to them, or they haven't made a statement since, but originally they stated that the physical evidence, which we know that there wasn't a lot of, but the physical evidence that was presented was enough to sway them. But I'm not buying that, and like we spoke about off camera, I think that if you look at how New York City was in 1989, and look at the perceptions of young black youths, especially in Harlem. You know, Harlem's always had this kind of tepid relationship with the rest of Manhattan. You know, it's right above Central Park. I don't think it's a stretch that in 1989 that even black people would have believed that those boys could have been capable of this.
And don't understate that, because New York was red hot from 89 to 93. Yes. It really was. And that climate was something that we cannot understand. You know what I'm saying? Right. That does
2,000 murders a year.
That does not excuse Linda Fairstein from...
No, absolutely not. And we know that, and as we've seen with other cases of, innocent people being, when we find out that they're exonerated, we always find out the same thing. That the prosecution and the police altered the evidence to fit their narrative. Right. Yeah, they don't even have to alter it. They just got to put it in the right place so that somebody will believe what they've convinced themselves to be true. I don't know if Linda Fairstein actually believed that these kids did or not. She just knows that 30 young black men were in Central Park causing a ruckus. Somebody had to do it.
They had to do it, right?
It just so happened that it was just a coincidence that a sexual predator took advantage of the fact that there was all this craziness going on in Central Park and used that as an opportunity to, to find another victim. And the worst thing about this is that the injustice permeated to so many people. Yeah. The jogger, Trisha Mealy, the 5 young boys, the other victims of the rape of the actual person that committed the crimes. Right. We forget about them. If they had just done their actual police work and caught the right guy, then we would have saved 3 other lives.
I am in no way a professional when it comes to criminal justice system, but that looked like the laziest investigation I have ever seen in my life, man. And Ava did such a good job capturing the nuances of the whole entire case.
And my bad for cutting you off. I'm not even gonna say lazy, because lazy means you didn't put in the work or the effort. They put in the work. They put in the work to drive whatever narrative
they wanted to drive.
They knew those boys was innocent.
And I say lazy in the sense because, like even during the case, one of the lawyers was like, well, did you notate this? Did you notate that? Was this done? Was this done? And the guy was like, well, no. I mean lazy in that sense. You know what I mean? But no, you're correct.
And just like the documentary goes, the only reason Corey went downtown, because it was like, if I don't go, Yusef's mom is going to be mad at me for not being there with my homeboy.
And he probably suffered the most.
And the cop knew that he was innocent, knew he had nothing to do with it.
They weren't even on the list.
And still brought him down there and watched him go to lockup for, 11, 12 years?
12, 13, 13 years.
And to speak to them now, I think all 5 of those men are probably better men than me. Because if that would have happened to me, I can't imagine the amount of bitterness that I have coming out. Now, I can't remember his name. The one kid whose dad actually told him to lie.
Antron.
Yeah. He looks to have some bitterness.
He does.
Build up. I've actually watched a few videos, a few interviews, and he's pretty pissed. He's pretty upset. But he is still more resolved than I probably would be. Right. Because if I was to get out after being falsely accused and convicted, all that, I'm not stopping until everybody involved has gone to jail.
Yeah.
And even now being a part of that, I realize how fortunate I am not to be caught up in anything like that in any way. But I'm mad for him. I'm mad for him.
Yeah.
Well, but we know how the system is. No one's gonna go to jail over this.
Right.
I mean, they're legally protected.
It's hard to hold the powers that be accountable for that action. It is.
Yeah.
And another crazy thing is it's just like when I was looking at it, it's like some of those kids couldn't even afford bail.
Yeah.
And it's just like it goes into the criminal justice system in this country. It's like you can afford bail to get out, you're fine and all that. But a lot of these kids have to stay in there and just suffer the consequences of something they may or may not have done, like a Khalif Browder did.
Yeah.
His bail was like $5,000, $500, and he couldn't afford it.
Yeah, and his mom actually tried to get bail, but she couldn't get the money up. She couldn't get the money. And it's funny that you mentioned that name. That's another documentary that I haven't watched that.
Very hard to
watch.
watch.
I haven't watched that.
Tough to watch.
Now the Khalif. Now I knew about the Khalif Browder documentary or the Khalif Browder story before it became national news. Like I actually followed that story when he had been in lockup for about a year, and that's when I knew he ultimately stayed in lockup for about 3 years. And you guys know just as good because you watched the documentary. But I actually watched the interviews he went through. I've watched some of the police footage up in Rikers. I watched him on Ellen. He went on Ellen and told Ellen he wants to die. Like, Ellen just handed this guy a laptop. And he said, I don't want to live. I don't. So, like, when that documentary came out, and I actually watched the first episode. But I started remembering everything, and I was like, I'm not going to put myself in. Because it was like a 6-part episode. I was like, I'm not watching.
I watched it, and I came back 4 or 5 months later and finished the rest because it was a hard watch.
I'm not putting myself through that.
And it's just like, it's people don't realize, it's when we speak of structural type racism, it's not just the South. It's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It happens every single way in the United States. And we just need to wake up and realize that. And my theory is, I think a lot of people have trouble watching it sometimes because it feeds into the own biases they have against their own people too. And that's a psychological thing as well. It feeds into the biases you have.
Yeah, depending on the person and the background, I think, there's different reasons why people, like for me, I refuse to watch because I just don't want to live it. And, we kind of deal with this in our own form each and every day.
Right.
But to someone who doesn't have to worry about getting put over by the cops simply because of the color of their skin, they don't want to watch it because, like you say, it forces them to accept that, like, this bad shit actually does happen.
Right. No doubt.
All right, well, I'm going to let y'all handle the fan questions. Have fun with that.
All right, we're going to jump into our fan segment today. We have 2 questions. The first question I'm going to let these guys handle is from a brother named Carlos Sellers.
What's up, Carlos?
He asks, what are your thoughts on the NCAA's newly adopted transfer portal? What do you guys think about that?
Okay, first off, Carlos, appreciate you submitting the question. I actually thought we would get more than the 2 questions that we got, but I guess we got to start somewhere. So to the ones that did come in and post questions, just wanted to say appreciate you guys for participating. You got anything, Jamal, as far as the transfer portal?
I had nothing to do.
Okay. God, man.
You the college guy, man. You the college guy,
so
man.
do y'all know what the transfer portal is?
You apply to the transfer, you got to sit out a year or whatever?
Yeah, well, it goes a little bit deeper than that, depending on your situation.
You get released, right?
Yeah, no. There's no actually get released. If you want to transfer, you put your name in the transfer portal, and that's it. The school, the coach, the team, like nobody can stop you. You basically say, hey, you know what? I want to put my name in the transfer portal. And if you want to take your name out of it and remain at the school that you're at, you're more than welcome to do so as well. But it's basically the players basically said, hey, I don't want to be in Clemson no more. Let me go to South Carolina. And that's pretty much what it is. Now, a lot of the coaches are pissed off about it.
I can see why.
Because obviously they lose their power that
Right.
they have over the kids. But I love it. I love it. And I'll tell you, Alabama football is the biggest reason why I love the transfer portal.
Please explain.
Expound.
Nick Saban will probably go down as one of the greatest coaches of all time in college, whether you like him or not.
Agreed.
But a lot, and actually my friend Carlos, like we actually know each other personally, he's a big Auburn fan. So just imagine when we're talking sports, imagine all of the crap that I'm hearing about Alabama.
Right.
But one thing that doesn't get publicized a lot is Nick Saban. Well, let me not attach Nick Saban's name to this. But one thing that doesn't get publicized a lot are a lot of kids who go to Alabama being told one thing, and then another thing happens.
Right.
Yeah, they don't play.
And there's I'm not as prepared for this conversation as I thought I'd be, but there's something like called a gray shirt. Everybody knows what a red shirt is.
Right.
But there's like two more. One's a gray shirt, and I think the other was like a blue shirt. I can't remember what it was. But a gray shirt is actually worse than a red shirt. I can't tell you the definition right now.
Okay.
But basically, the transfer portal, I love it. I'm a huge supporter. I know a lot of fans don't like it. I know a lot of coaches don't like it. But I think this is a step in the right direction of giving the kids the power that they need and taking it away from some of those coaches.
All right, so I'm hearing this, and I'm leaning towards me not liking it. Because, on one hand, with as corrupt as I feel as the NCAA is, I do not have a favorable opinion of Mark Emmert, who is the president of the NCAA. I don't have a favorable opinion of them as an organization. So
pay them kids.
I like the fact that the kids are at least getting more power. However, the fan side of me, the guy who truly enjoys, I'm going to say college basketball to be particular on this point. I don't want college basketball looking like the NBA in terms of like just this frenzy of player movement. That's the part I'm kind of fearing about this specifically because, some freshman goes to Michigan. It's like, well, you know what? I'm only getting 20 minutes a game. Let me go to Duke and see if I can play more. It's like, are we going to create this environment where we got a whole bunch of kids that's kind of want to hop on bandwagons and go to all these other teams and start building like super teams in college basketball? You know what I'm saying?
To that point, let's say you're a high school basketball recruit, and let's say you're the number 10 ranked recruit in the nation, right? Mm-hmm. And you end up going to Clemson to play basketball, right?
I mean, who will go to Clemson to play basketball?
I
wouldn't.
I'm not as violent. I'm just saying, but
I got you.
well, everyone thought Zion was going to Clemson. You saw that happen.
Yeah.
But
we didn't offer enough money.
let's say you're going to Clemson. You're the number 10. So, like, you're a point guard.
Yeah.
You know you're about to start from day one. All you got to do is keep putting in the work, da-da-da-da-da-da. You sign your letter of intent, you update it to Twitter, you go into Twitter, like all your Facebook is now orange and blue and all that good stuff, right? Or is it purple?
Purple.
Orange and purple. Like 2 weeks later, the number 1 overall recruit in your class, who was also a point guard, now signs to Clemson as well.
Right.
And now you feel like the coaches have lied to you because with him signing now you go to a backup role, and even though you're the 10th overall prospect, you're still probably going to play. Yeah. But that number 1 is going to take a lot of your shine.
Right. Yeah.
And now you feel like the coaches have actually lied to you. That happens a lot.
No, I
You know what I'm saying? And one response that I've been seeing from a lot of fans, a lot of fans are calling the players weak, and they're calling them soft because
I hate that.
A lot of fans are saying that most of the kids are transferring. They're transferring because they're not good enough to play. And it's like you should stay there, and you should earn your right to play.
I'm glad that point is being brought up. All right, so I'm a UConn Huskies fan for people that don't know, and there's a reason I'm bringing this up. Not to show you my fandom. That's not the reason I'm bringing. The reason I'm bringing this up is because 2 seasons ago, Kevin Ali's next to last year, it was like a mass exodus. Yep. Like, I have never seen so many players transfer off of one team. And I didn't know why. To this day, I still don't know why. You know what I mean? And I was looking at that, and I was just kind of like, is the culture shifting a bit? Mm-hmm. Is the culture shifting in these players? To your point, are they being lied to? Are they being mistreated? Or are they simply not good enough? I think both questions have to be asked. And the reason I say that, I'm not going to name names, but there were a couple of players on that UConn team where I thought to myself, like, dude, you're not playing for a reason. And I'm just being honest. You know what I mean? Not to hate on some kids or anything like that. But I just think it's a fair question to ask. Were you really good enough to begin with to get the time that you think you deserve? Yeah. And that's kind of where it just gets a little stormy with me. And again, I'm wary about it specifically with college. I know I keep saying college basketball. I know this is collegiate sports all over. But with college basketball in particular, are we going to see this mass exodus from one team? Are we going to see a frenzy? I just think these are fair questions, man.
Now,
you know what I mean?
there will be players there will be entitled players who don't get what they feel like they deserve or what they want. I'm not saying that's not going to happen. Yeah. That's going to happen, unfortunately. But overall, big picture, I think this is an excellent thing. Let me ask you guys a question, though. What do you guys remember Giovanni Bernard?
Yeah. Running back for the
Steelers.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about him as far as his caliber of play with the Steelers?
He's another guy.
He's all right. Okay.
He's solid.
I can't remember. I think he went in the 5th round. Mm-hmm. If you go look at his profile right now, and you know when you look at a player's profile and they have the college and they have the college listed to him,
right?
He has none by his college. But he spent 4 years in North
Carolina, right?
He does that because he didn't get any play. He played, but he didn't play nearly to the amount.
Who did he play behind?
You really had to put me on the spot there, huh?
You're supposed to be the Carolina guy, man.
It's football, though. It's Carolina. It's like
the truth comes out.
I mean, no, I got the dudes.
Elijah Hood? No, he's before.
Nah, it was way before Hood. I have to.
The name was on the tip of my tongue too.
Yeah, but I can't.
I can't think of the.
But he was frustrated because he never got to play. So let's say that same kid. Let's say he transfers and goes to Alabama or wherever, and he gets a lot of play. Maybe he's a higher prospect now, and maybe he has a better NFL career because of it.
The pessimist in me, I just think it's not going to work out like most kids wanted to, man. I'm sorry, man.
Now,
it's kind of
and there has already been an abuse in the power when it comes to the transfer portal. I'm not going to say his name because I try not to speak ill of amateurs, but there's a football player who, in, I want to say, March, committed to USC. Mm-hmm. Some time goes by, I don't like it. I don't want to be here. So he decommitted, puts his name in the transfer portal, and he goes to Texas. So so he's no. So he's been in Texas for like a month, right? I don't like it here. I want to go back to USC. So he went back to USC.
That's exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about right now.
And it'll be that one case that speaks for the entire
everybody,
which is not fair. which is not fair. But we have seen over and over again, one bad apple can spoil the whole bunch of everybody. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, man. You know what I mean?
But on the flip side, we did have a coach to leave his team and sign with another team, and literally, a day or two later, quit and went to the NFL.
No, it happens, man. It happens.
And you know what he did when he got there? He fired the doggone quarterback and then drafted the quarterback #1 overall. So it should narrow it down.
Right. You should. I think we know.
Narrow it down just a little bit. So if the coaches can do it, the players can do it too.
All right, we're gonna jump into our second question from our one of our favorite people, Ryan Backenbridge.
Ryan, what's good, man?
He asked our thoughts on Mr. Willie Hernan Gomez.
Billy
Hernan Gomez.
Yeah.
And he seems to think really flew under the radar. Billy flew under the radar most of the year. What do you guys think of him?
He's he defines what the Charlotte Hornets roster is. He can do one thing really well, and he's atrocious on another thing. And this word is like a broken record when it comes to Hornets players. Inconsistent. There are certain flashes Willie has. God, man, I feel like I'm talking about the whole entire roster beside Kemba Walker, but we are talking about Hernan Gomez. So I'm gonna try to stick to the subject.
Lack of two-way players.
And I swear, it's like an epidemic around that team. But he's shown flashes. Mm-hmm. He gives you these minutes where he shows you his vast skill set offensively. Mm-hmm. The dude can be in the post. He can shoot the three. You know, you can put him at the foul line, and he can pass the ball pretty well. He rebounds at a high rate a lot of times. But you put him on the other end of the floor, man, and coaches know you put that guy in a pick and roll situation.
He's scoring every time.
You can get the basket anytime you want to. So, as far as the Hornets exercising his option this season, it wasn't a shock at all. For that reason, he was a very cheap option because you got Bismack making 17, who probably doesn't even give you the production Hernan Gomez does. It's an easy decision, man. It wasn't hard to do because at worst, you know, he's your third, fourth center for $1 million.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't do that?
Yeah.
If you would have asked me this question 1 year ago, my answer I think would be drastically different than what I'm about to give you right now. Because when Hernan Gomez came here from New York, when we traded for him, he actually came in with a chip on his shoulder.
Right.
Because he rode the pond in New York for his entire rookie season, and he felt like he didn't get a chance to play. And so when he finally did get a chance to play in Charlotte, which is too late, but the reason for that is in Orlando right now. We won't have to worry about that. But when he finally got a chance to play,
they made the playoffs.
and you know what? We'll talk about that later. But when he actually got a chance to play, he did pretty damn good.
Right.
He actually produced. So going into this year, I was actually expecting more of the same from Hernan Gomez. And he dropped. No. He actually increased his numbers. He increased his numbers in every major statistical category except his three-point shooting. His three-point shooting took a drastic turn. But the optics of it, I'm not seeing somebody who's hungry. Yeah. I'm not seeing somebody who's willing to prove himself. I'm seeing somebody who got benched because he made a boneheaded mistake on play. And then like 5 minutes later, he's on the bench, like laughing and joking around like nothing has happened. Mm-hmm. And I know these guys practice and I know they put in work off the court and everything, but I'm just not seeing any improvement or any willingness that he's going to actually get better. And
there's another guy like that on the Hornets roster. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nope, we're not doing this.
It's like you said earlier, you could be talking about so many. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, you know exactly what
I was talking about.
I don't know. And here's what's happening. My expectations for Hernan Gomez would be pretty low this year. And he's going to have a good year. He's going to ball out. And then we're going to be in that Nick Batum situation again when it comes contract time.
Really? Nick Batum situation?
No, now look, we're not about to give him. What I mean is, we're going to pay him more than what he should get, and then we're going to be complaining about it.
No,
you think so? You think Mitch?
I don't think Mitch should do that. I don't know, man. I don't.
Kobe Bryant got what for 2 years?
That was.
Well, they got what?
That was more of a bust family decision. I believe that was more of a bust family.
There might be some truth to that.
That was more of a bust family decision, man. Come on now. Kobe got that legacy deal.
Mozgov did get a lot of money, though.
I forgot about Mozgov. Yeah, what's he doing now?
Okay, we're going to jump into our segments called the Shoutouts. And I will go first. All right. I want to give a shout out to Ava DuVernay for being an important person in the culture.
No doubt.
From the 13th to Selma to When They See Us. This woman is important in the new renaissance of black writers and everything like that. And she's a very important piece, along with Jordan Peele and even Tyler Perry. I don't even care. We need different type of writings.
Tyler Perry.
Yes, we need different type of writings.
Let's not talk about that.
He has an audience and it's big, and I'm not going to deny them. We're going to move on.
Okay, so my shout out.
My shout outs. I was happy belated Prince. I had to represent today. One of my favorite artists. But my other shout out is a lot more somber. Even though there have been conflicting reports, we don't know if Bushwick Bill is alive at this point. We don't know if he's passed away. Regardless of it, shout out to Bushwick Bill, who is one of the pioneers of Southern hip hop. I am fortunate enough to say I've gotten a chance to see Ghetto Boys live here in Charlotte. It is literally one of my favorite concert experiences that I've witnessed. Again, the reports are not final, but regardless, it looks very grim for him at this point. And I just want to say, just my heart goes out to all his family and all his friends and all those that were close to him. And I'm tired of seeing, aside from just, I want to say icons, but just celebrities and people that I admire. I'm tired of seeing black men pass away from disease way earlier than they should, man. The Bushwick Bill is included, so shout out to that, man.
All right, that's
y'all, come on.
Oh,
all right.
Charlotte Checkers.
Oh, hey! Yeah, congratulations,
champion!
Yeah, Charlotte has a champion. I don't know when I'm gonna be able to say that again. Yeah,
don't do that, Jamal.
I'm sorry, man.
Charlotte Checkers won the AHL American Hockey League championship. That is actually the second championship in their history. They won the East Coast Hockey League championship back in 95-96. So support your local farm teams because that makes the big league teams that much better.
Hurricanes,
because they have better players, and hopefully some of that talent will permeate upwards to the Carolina Hurricanes, and they can make another Stanley Cup run. So,
all right, before we go, I'm going to spit some Hotep bars.
On that note.
All right, Hotepping, Euro-stepping, traveling to a new dimension. 360 degrees.
See y'all next week.
Now I'm woke. Y'all niggas don't want no smoke. Shook wish he could harden his steps. I shade to the lambs. Peace and more power to you, brothers.